Are you looking into the world of sneakers and building your collection? Well, look no further, because in this video, I'm going to give you a complete beginner's breakdown on how I would personally start a sneaker collection in 2023. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss any of these tips. Now let's get into it. Tip number one is to figure out what you actually like. Now what I mean by that is, are you a Jordans guy? Do you like New Balances? Are you a big fan of SB Dunks or maybe Air Forces, or maybe a bit of everything? I recommend you explore what's out there and use social media for inspiration. There's a lot of great sneaker specific YouTubers, for example Tony D2 Wild, Bullet RC, Seth Fowler, and then you have style influencers like Devin on Deck, Eddie Win Kicks. I think I put myself in that category, but I'm not quite up to their level yet. Now you can definitely take inspiration from what you see online, but you want to remember that at the end of the day, it's your purchase. These are the shoes that you're gonna buy and wear, so don't worry about what other people have to say about it. If you like the shoe, that's all that matters. Now tip number two is to make a wish list. After you've learned about what sneakers are out there and what you personally like, it's time to make an actual list of sneakers that you want to get. Now you can make your list as big as you want it, but what I recommend doing is narrowing it down to between 5 and 10 sneakers. Those shoes will be the ones that you prioritize getting over the next few months. In my opinion, the best way to make this sneaker wish list is through the GOAT app. They have a really great feature on their app where you can add it to your want list and it goes in a very neat folder. You could just scroll through it and see whatever sneakers you like, and it shows the prices, and it also notifies you whenever a price drops. Now I highly recommend that when you're first getting into sneakers, you want to make sure that your first few pairs are very wearable. The worst feeling is spending $200, $300 on a pair of shoes and you realize that nothing in your closet really goes with it, and then you hardly wear the shoe. So yeah, just make sure that whatever shoes you get, you're actually able to wear with the things in your closet. Now the thing about your wish list is that you don't have to include previous releases only. If there's a sneaker that's coming up and you want to buy that release, make sure that you put that shoe on your wish list so that you can save it in your mind and budget for it. Speaking of budgeting, that actually leads us into our next tip. And of course that brings us to tip number 3, which is budgeting. Now this is going to be different for everyone because we all have different levels of income, but there's a quote that I've always remembered and it's just stuck with me, and it's this quote by Jay-Z. If you can't buy it twice, you can't afford it. Now let's take this pair of Jordan 4s for example, which resell for $400 on the aftermarket. If this is reselling for $400, I would have to have $800. Quick maths. But that doesn't mean that if I only have $800 to spend, I'm gonna buy that pair of shoes, because that's half my wealth. What that quote really means is that if you're comfortable with buying something twice, that's when you can afford it. But me only having $800 to spend means that I shouldn't be buying that pair of shoes, because if I bought it twice, I'd have $0. Now on the same subject of budgeting, I also recommend everybody starts a side hustle. Back in my freshman and sophomore year, my side hustle was buying and reselling sneakers. I would look through apps like OfferUp and LetGo and eBay, and I would look for really beat sneakers with paint damage and just dirt, and then what I'd do is repaint them, I'd clean them up, restore them, bring them back to life, and then sell them for like $50 to $100 profit. My side hustle has been flipping Apple devices, but honestly it could be anything that you enjoy and make money with. Ideally your side hustle can make you an extra $100 to $200 a week that you can specifically spend on sneakers. Say you're working a part-time or a full-time job, whatever money you make from that job you can put into your savings, and then whatever you get from your side hustle money, that can go towards sneakers. Now tip number 4 is where to actually buy your shoes. Now in my opinion, the best places to buy your sneakers are going to be eBay, OfferUp, GOAT, Mercari, TradeBlock, and Facebook Marketplace. I can't really recommend StockX anymore because of their shaky history. It's just not really worth the risk. Another great place to look for sneakers is going to be sneaker conventions. Sometimes you can get some really good come ups. Another great place to look is going to be your local resale stores like consignment shops. Oftentimes they'll actually tax the hell out of their dead stock pairs, but sometimes they'll sell used pairs for absolute steals. Once you have your wish list in mind, it's just about going through each app individually and trying to find a good deal on the shoes that you want. Now tip number 5 is going to be about saving money while buying your shoes. Now the best tip that I can give you is to buy your sneakers used, especially on the more expensive pairs. The reason why is because the more expensive a pair of shoes is, the more it goes down in value when you wear it. And honestly, you want to avoid that stress of buying a pair of shoes dead stock for a lot of money and then feeling like you're losing negative $3 every time you take a step. It's not worth it. If you buy those expensive sneakers used, you'll end up saving a lot of money. Typically you can save anywhere from $50 to $200 depending on the condition. And I'm not saying at all to buy somebody's beaters. I'm saying just buy a pair of shoes that's in good condition but that's been worn, so that you can save yourself a decent amount of money. This is a great example. This pair of Off-White Vapor Maxes I found on OfferUp in my size. And honestly this pair of shoes isn't too beat up. It's a black shoe so the dirt doesn't really show that much. Now dead stock these pairs usually go for about $800 to $850 on StockX and GOAT, but I paid $330. So buying your sneakers used is going to save you a lot of money. I definitely recommend it. Now if a pair of shoes is on the cheaper side, like say it's going for retail or slightly above retail, it's honestly not worth buying a used pair because the savings won't be that significant. You might as well well just buy it and cherish it as it is dead stock and then break it in yourself. Now eBay and OfferUp are going to be great resources when looking for used sneakers, and also you can buy used pairs on GOAT, so keep that in mind while you're searching. Speaking of which, apps like GOAT, StockX, and CAM Goods all charge a lot of processing fees and high taxes and shipping rates. So whatever the price of the shoes are on those services, you're gonna end up paying an extra $50 to $100 in processing fees and taxes. The best way to do it is to find your sneakers locally or talk to well-established sneaker resellers with lots of references, and they can send you a PayPal invoice. That way you can avoid all of those high processing and shipping fees. The last thing that will save you money is to take care of your shoes. Now definitely wear your shoes. I'm not saying that you should avoid wearing them, but you wanna keep them clean and don't trash them, because that way they'll retain their value, so that if you decide to sell it or trade it later on for a different pair of shoes, you'll be able to sell it for more. The great thing about sneakers is that they can actually appreciate in value as you wear them. That's not going to be the case every time, but I have a lot of experience with actually buying a pair of shoes for a really low price, and then as I wore them, the prices went up. This pair, for example, I paid $170 resale when it first came out, and now they go for a ridiculous amount. I don't even remember what they go for. But I've worn the absolute crap out of these, and I clean them every once in a while, and since they're in such great shape, I could easily sell it for more than I bought it for when they were brand new as a used pair of shoes. Now just some last few bits of wisdom. I want you to remember that patience saves pockets. We as humans tend to be pretty impulsive, so if there's something that we really want, we just rush right into it. But you want to make sure that you want to see if the shoes go on sale, or maybe you can find a better pair used. You know, there's no need to rush into a purchase right away. If you can hold off for an extra few days or few weeks or maybe a month, I promise you'll end up finding a better deal, or the shoes will go on sale, or the resale value will go down a little bit. So you just have to be selective and make sure that you don't buy something impulsively. Another thing I want you to remember is try not to compare yourself to others. I know it can be kind of daunting looking at all these big sneaker YouTubers who've been doing this forever and they have a giant room full of sneakers. Just remember that sneakers is about a personal journey. Don't be envious or worry about what other people have. Just buy the sneakers that you enjoy wearing and that you're gonna have fun with. And if your goal is to have a really big collection with a room full of sneakers, just trust me, it'll come if you stay patient and you keep working at it and you keep trying to improve yourself, improving your income. That stuff will just naturally come over time. And just remember to enjoy the process and have fun. The sneaker community is full of a ton of great people. There's definitely a few bad apples who are pretty cringy and judgmental, but most people in this community are really chill. So just interact with your fellow sneakerheads on Reddit and Instagram, YouTube, all types of social media, and just, you know, kind of immerse yourself in the culture and you'll have a lot of fun with it. But that's pretty much everything that I have for you guys. If you enjoyed the video, I'd really appreciate it if you leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you're new. Helps me out a lot. I'm trying to get my channel to 5K subs, and if you could help me get there, I'd be really grateful. But yeah, man, with all that being said, remember, blessed day and stay clacking. Peace.